In this mini-unit, we learned about exponential functions. We learned how to use function rules to find the rate of change. We learned how to find domain and ranges of graphs. We learned how to find intercepts, and we learned how to take all this information as a whole and graph it. So our first question is, what is the function rule? Our function rule is always going to be y equals a times b to the x. A is going to be our y-intercept, and b is always going to be the rate of change. So in this problem, our function rule is going to be y equals 4 times 2x. It's going to be 4 because 4 is the y-intercept, and times 2 because each time it is multiplying by 2, and that is obviously our rate of change, and that is where we get that number. Our next question is, what is the value of y when x is 5? Simple. All we have to do on the side is we already have 1, 2, so we're just going to go 3, 4, 5. 16 times 2 is going to be 32. 32 times 2 is going to be 64. 64 times 2 is going to be 128. Obviously, I like to do it off on the side, but if you can do it in your head, wonderful. So we have 5x equals 128. Our next question is going to deal with graphing. As you can see, our exponential function here is fx equals 2 times 3x. So our y-intercept is going to equal to 2. 2 times 3 is going to be 6, and 6 times 3 is going to be 18. Now, since we're going down to negatives, we're going to go 2 divided by 3, and that's going to equal 0.667. And 0.667 divided by 3 is going to be 0.223. So now we just have to graph. So we start at the bottom, go 2. 2 is equal to 18. Graph that. We have 1 is equal to 6. 0 equal to 2. Negative 1, 0.6. And negative 2.2. So now we're just going to graph that. So now we have, when will fx equal 0? As you can see here, it's never going to equal 0. It's just the numbers are going to get really small, but it is not going to get to 0. Determine the y-intercept of your graph. Well, that's simple. You just find the y line and look where it crosses. So it's going to be 0, 2. If is fx increasing or decreasing? Well, as you can see, it's going up, and it's never going to get to 0, so it's going to be increasing always. What is the domain of the function? Domain is always going to be all real numbers, so we're just going to put that sign. And then the range, obviously because fx can never equal to 0, y is going to be greater than 0. So that is what we learned in this unit.